Hello everyone. So welcome back to another video in the Coding in HTML by Asamani. And in the last video we discussed how to use links, and we also discussed how to use images in HTML, and we also learned how to change the colors of the links, and for the images we also learned how to change the height and the width. So if you haven't watched the last video in the series or any of the other videos before this one, please go watch those videos and then come back to this one. And yeah. So let's get started. So the first thing we're gonna do is, first let's open up this my first HTML script. So if you see here, what we should have is the English is my language, our beach experience. My name is Asamani. Please like and subscribe. Wikipedia, that's a link, so when we click on it, it goes to Wikipedia. And then we have this cat image here. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is, let's say I have this Wikipedia, but I don't want this underline underneath it. How do I remove it? Well, one way to do it is we go to the A tag in CSS here, and we go to text decoration. It's a hyphen in between, not just a space, and we put none. And now when we go back, if you have autosave on, save the file. And I suggest if you don't have autosave on already, turn it on right now. And when we go back, we reload, and if you see the Wikipedia, the link is still there because I could still click on it and it goes to Wikipedia, but it doesn't have the underline underneath it. Okay, so I have this cat image here, but I don't want it to be here in the middle, in the left hand side. I want to make it right in the center here. So how would I do that? So we use a command called the position command, and so it's position. There are absolute position. In this case, we're gonna go with absolute, and what that does is we can adjust the top and bottom here. So we can put the top as the 50%, or 50 view height. So that will mean it'll be 50 between the height of your screen, and then we'll make right 50 view width this time. Now let's go here. Now if you see, it's actually changed the image. So what we can do is, instead of changing to view height, we'll just say top 50 pixels and then right 50 pixels. So if you see here, it's moved. There's 50 pixels spacing from the top and 50 pixels from the right. So let me also change this percentage to 200 pixels. I think that might have accidentally made it really big. Yeah, so here we don't have to change the height, we'll just change the width. So the height is the default height. So we see it's like over in the right hand corner, but we want it to be more in the center, so we're gonna increase this right more. So I'm gonna increase it to like around 400 pixels, and we'll see what happens now. If you see, it moved over to the right. And you can change this to any pixel amount that you want. So yeah, you can change it to like 500. And pixels are a really small unit. Like I changed it from 400 to 500 pixels, but it's only moved a little bit. Okay, but so now I moved it from left to right, but how do I move it like top to bottom? Because I want it perfectly in the center. So we can change this top number to 500 as well, and let's see where it ends up. So if you see here, it actually went so far that it went all the way down to the page. Down the screen, I should say. So let's just make this like 250 pixels. Now it should be somewhat in the center, yeah. But let's just move it a little more up, so we'll just make it like 200 pixels. Okay, so now we got the cat centered. So let's say I have this main background here. I don't want it to be this old boring white. What if I want it to be blue? Let me say like a light blue. So how would I change it? So we can go to here and we can go to this HTML tag because that's what everything is in. And we can say background color can be this aqua. I like that aqua. And now we go here, and now you see the whole background is aqua. So what if now, because this black doesn't really suit the aqua, so how would I change the color? So the way we change color is using something called the color tag. Not the color tag, the color CSS expression. So we have all this in the body tag here. So let's just change everything to color. Let's say maybe I'll go with I like this burly wood. Let's go with that. Semicolon. Now when we go here, it changes everything except this Wikipedia. Why did it not change the Wikipedia? Because it's also in the body tag here. Well, the reason for that is something called it's because of the A tag. It's like preferencing. It's almost like choosing whichever is more specific, it will go for that one. The HTML, when it's going into the compiler, what it's doing is it's checking everything. So it says here in the body, color is burlywood, but if you body is a really big expression. It's like it applies to many things, while this A tag only applies to the A tag. So because it chooses the black expression here over the burlywood, because this one is more specific, so it'll apply this one to whichever thing it applies to. So in our case, it applies to the Wikipedia. And because it says color is black, and this is more specific, it'll give colors black for that. But when we remove this, what will happen is this is back to the normal color a link is here. So for A tags, because it is a link, it will automatically go to this like purple color, I should say, like a purplish color when you visit, or before you visit, before you click on it, it'll be like a blue, but when it's purple, when you visit the link, it's going to be purple. So how do I change this to the same burlywood color? So because of the color like this, what we can do is a fancy way of doing it is after the A, we can put a colon and we can say visited because it's a link in CSS. And what we can do is this will only work when the A tag has already been visited, and we can make it the color is burlywood. So now it's making it like this, but only after it's visited will the text decoration is still there, because when we have the visited, it will always keep the text decoration. And when we remove this should it won't be as fancy, but it'll still keep the text decoration. So because we want the text decoration not to be gone, we want the text decoration to be gone, so we'll keep it as A. And the same thing, we can also, there's A visited, and then there's like A unvisited, A before. So there are many different things that you can keep it as. So, so we were able to fix the background color, and we were also able to fix the actual color of the font. But how? So let's say I have this English is my language, but I only want English to be a red color and nothing else to be red. So there are two tags that can be used just for CSS purposes, kind of to highlight only specific parts. The div tag and the span tag. So here, for things like very small things, we would use span tags, and for big things, we would use divs. That's why if you see any professional programmers, they use a lot of div tags in the beginning of their program, so they have a larger, how should I say this, like a larger, in CSS purposes, like because HTML is wider range than body, than image, than UL, and like A tag. So they use the div tags as like a big HTML, and like a bigger body, I guess I should say. Okay, so now we have the span tag here, but the only way we'll be able to access the span tag with, like, if there are multiple span tags, so in this case, I'm only going to use one span tag for English. So I'm just going to put span in the CSS, and I'm going to put the color, it's going to be red. And now when we go back, as you can see, English is the only thing that's red. Everything else is in the different font, the Burleywood font. So that's how we can use span, and we can also use a background for individual things. So if you see, if we switch this background, this color to background color, it will actually put a background over the actual words. So if you see here, it looks kind of orange because of the Burleywood, but it's a red, and it's the Burleywood font in there. So if you needed to, in a website, what you could do is you could highlight specific words to emphasize them more, or even like act as they were like highlighted by finding the correct yellow. Like, let's actually do that right now. Like, we could say yellow, and that could make it look more like it was highlighted here. So as you can see here, it looks like it was highlighted if we had just the black font. So now let's try using the div tags. The div tags function basically the exact same as the span tags, except they're usually not used for very, very small things. So like the span tag we used for the English just to make English a different color, but we can use this div tag to be able to like access this whole list here and change other things in it. So the reason why you can use like divs is the reason for the actual usage of it is because it's like so much easier in CSS to grasp, like to be able to access specific things with the div. So we have a div here. I just put in a div tag. To make your code neat, I suggest you like tab things out. So here, like, so you can easily see which is the greater element. So the body is the biggest element here, and then the div, then the unordered list, then the list, and then everything else, and so it just looks a little cleaner. Okay, so now that we've had this div established here, what we can do is with a div here, we can add, let's say I put like a p tag here and I said, oh, I want to go to, let's say, in London. I want to go to London, and wherever you want to go, you can put here. And so if I referred to a div in this tag in the CSS, what I could do is I could access everything from this P to this UL to the list, and then the image UL, and like I can access almost everything that's within the div. So the reason why this is so useful is now when I go, like, I could put a div. I'm actually gonna give it an ID. I'm gonna give it an ID of div. And so when I go here, you put the hashtag to define the ID, and then you put it here. Now I could say, oh, let's say color to everything. I could say is like an aquamarine, and now literally everything will be aquamarine because everything's in the div. And you can't really tell the difference because of this aqua background. Let's quickly remove that. So when we go here, it should be the plain white. And if you see, literally everything is aquamarine except the link. And the reason for that is, as we said, because of preferences, whichever is the most unique to one thing, like whichever is the most specific, I should say, whichever is the most specific, HTML will go with that. Now we have everything here. Now, and I have my cat centered. It's probably about time that I put something right above my cat. So I put here like a P, this one. This is my cat. His name is, I'm gonna just say Winston. Okay. Okay, now where would this, so this is over here, this is my cat, his name is Winston. I want it right here. So what we can do is we can do the same thing that we did before with the position. So we can we can probably give this an ID. We'll give it like ID cat name. So I'll put hashtag cat name. And so to get it over up here, we're gonna have to use the position command again. Position, and then we'll say absolute. Oh, whoops, I spelled it wrong. Okay, now here we can go to top. We want it just a little bit up from the top, so I'll say that's about 100 pixels. So I'll say 100 pixels from the top. And then to the right, it should be half the screen. So I'll say maybe like 500 pixels. And as you can see, it went right above. It actually went pretty perfect. If I want it just a little bit closer, so I'll maybe put like 150 pixels. So yeah, I think that might have been a little too much, so we'll make it like 130. So it sits right on top of it. Yeah. So how did I you get these pixel numbers correct almost perfectly? Well, I used the other images. So I used the image up here to my advantage. So I knew that it was already right 500 pixels. So all I had to, because I want it perfectly aligned, I just needed the right to be the same. But the top, it would be a little less because I wanted it to sit on top of the picture. So that's how I was able to quickly find out where I should keep my text and how the parameters to give here. And yeah, I think I'll end the video here. Hope you were able to understand how to use the div, span, and all the all the CSS attributes that we learned in this video. Um, Please like and subscribe. When you do subscribe, keep a comment in the comments below saying like I subscribed, and that will help me know that you subscribed, and I can reply to all of your comments. And please, if you have any ideas for any type of series or video, please let me know in the comments below. And yeah, so that's it. Have a great day.